which goes back to the volunteer thing. There are people you'll meet by volunteering in the correctional system that you won't meet any other way.
Absolutely.
And things that you will learn by meeting those people that you wouldn't otherwise know at all.
And it's always enriching. The more you know, the better person you are.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always more to know.
And the more situations you can respond to positively.
Yeah, your own flexibility. Dealing with people that you thought you couldn't deal with, and finding out that A, they're just people,
Mm-hmm.
and B, yeah, you can deal with them. Boy, that makes your coworkers a piece of cake.
Mm-hmm. That's true too.
And that's something that people need to remember. These incarcerated persons are just like your coworker and your idiot cousin who always says something stupid at parties.
Mm-hmm.
You cut them some slack.
Why do we hold these others to a higher standard?
Yeah. Why do they become irredeemable? And we get to make the choice of, no, they're not irredeemable. And if I can provide them with a concept, a word, a view of life that they hadn't considered before,
Mm-hmm.
and it puts everything else into a different and better perspective for them, great. They don't need to become what I wish they would become. They need to become who they really could be.
Mm-hmm.
If they and we would simply get out of their way.
Mm-hmm. Instead of lecturing God on what the care package should contain,
Mm-hmm.
to simply look at what it does contain and figure out how to best utilize whatever God has put within that person.
It's like being MacGyver, you know? What are you going to do with 12 yards of duct tape and some chewing gum? You never know.
You never know. I'm sure that show opened a lot of people's minds about combinations of the most unlikely objects.
And you'll never find a more inventive group of people than people who have done serious time.
Okay.
There's a whole list of things that are contraband in prison. Not because somebody might do something stupid with it, but because somebody already has.
Okay.
And we can't bring that in anymore. You can't
But that
have chewing
restriction
gum.
has created an inventiveness in the population,
Right.
such that they could be considered some of the foremost problem solvers in our society.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They are endlessly creative in non-constructive ways because it's in prison. Why can't we put that creativity to work in constructive ways?
Mm-hmm.
If they can find out how to get around that, what could they do with computers that crash?
They'd be an ideal candidate for a research and development department.
Yes,
Ideal.
absolutely. Because they think outside the box, since they've been trying to get outside the box.
Yeah. And whenever I hear the expression "think outside the box," I keep wanting to say, "Box? What box? I don't remember any box."
No, but there are people who have put themselves in boxes.
Oh yeah, and there's people who try to put the divine in boxes too.
Yes.
It's so much nicer to relate to something you can control, which may be an example of an erroneous attitude by society toward people who are incarcerated. Not because they need to be, but because we don't know what else to do with them.
Don't know what else to do with them.
And so we put them in a box. And yet it's not so much about, okay, now we're going to give them a training program for reentry into society, and this is the training program everybody will do. Because you're not so much thinking out of the box as you're just taking it from one box and putting them into another.
Mm-hmm.
In order for it to work, you have to find out what is inside of them.
What do they need, and what can we help them bring out?
That they are the box the divine has delivered into our hands, entrusted to us, to best utilize whatever we find within the box, without any preconceived notion about what should be in the
Right.
box.
And that's why a diversity in the volunteer base brings that in. What did you find within yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Help them to even know there's something in there to find, and then find it.
And there may be some exciting collaboration between volunteers as well. Two people who would never meet under any other circumstances, but they're both volunteers within a
Mhm.
particular correctional
Mhm.
facility.
And there's a synergy there.
Mhm.
So some
And
great
suddenly they're
possibilities.
collaborating with someone
Mhm.
that they might avoid in any other situation. You know, when you're mentioning about ministers who, because you're a Wiccan chaplain, excuse me, I'm stumbling over my words, because you're a Wiccan chaplain, won't even shake your hand. And I would stand there as Sister Who's saying, but you're both people of faith. You're both dealing with spiritual issues. You're both responding to spiritual needs. If you claim to have a positive relationship with something spiritual that transcends humanity, and you can't even collaborate, to me it throws a lot of doubt on the integrity or the veracity of the divine that particular person worships.
And there's nothing I can do about that.
No,
Except
because you
be
can
who
only
I
build-
am.
Yeah, but you can
And
only build a bridge halfway.
exactly, I can only do my piece of that. And then be from within my reality, encouraging others to find their spiritual truth, whatever it is, and embrace it, so that they can make that connection.